You can fish from a boat, or you can stand on shore, or you can use a pontoon with carpet on the floor. You can sit upon a dock or wade out to a big
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We are checking in with Chad Calder, the owner of Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing out of Port Hardy. That's at the north end of Vancouver Island in British Columbia, to check to see how the fishing is and tell you about some late-breaking opportunities for summertime fishing that you can enjoy. Chad, great to have you back on the air.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, John.
Well, let's break down the fishing species by species. We'll start off with the salmon because everybody is interested in Chinook and coho salmon fishing this time of year.
Yeah, so our fishery started on June 3rd to be exact, John. We started off with a bang as usual on our Chinook fishery. 2 possession a day, 4 possession to take home per person. We didn't really have a lull this year. We thought we might get a little bit. The weather has been so fantastic. We've been able to get to all our areas. And we had some really big fish early on in the season. And this typically what happens is once we get to about the 1st of July, we get into some different runs of fish. And maybe they're not quite as big, but boy, are they plentiful.
So you're doing really well on the Chinook, and folks, they were getting kings up to 35 pounds in June, early June. That's just amazing for Chinook salmon. Have the coho showed up yet? I know they usually do show up this time of year.
Well, you're right, John, and they just showed up last week. Not in huge numbers, but just enough that if you really fished for salmon hard enough, you'd probably attain your limits. But they're just starting to show up in greater numbers now, and well, they started to show up, like I said, last week, but they just keep getting to see more and more of them each week.
And the great thing about the coho, I know right now they're probably running that 7 to 12 pound range, but as we get later through the season, they just pack on the pounds. How big are they going to be by the end of August?
Well, that's just it, John. End of August, they go from like 14 to 16, 17 pounds. They're huge fish.
And let's not forget some of those other species, too. I know you don't really promote the pink salmon fishing, but if things are a little slow for the Chinook or for the coho and you got a couple spare fish to fill, you've got the pinks, too, don't you?
Oh, yeah. We've got all the species here. Retention-wise, you can keep 4 different types of species with us. So Chinook are our main focus, then the coho, silvers, and then the pinks and the chums. Chums you don't catch very often up here, but periodically you do. Pinks, they start showing up in about 10 days from now, more or less, and they'll carry right through until about the 3rd week of August, along with the Chinook and the coho.
Well, I want to talk again about the retention limits, the possession limits you have for salmon, because quite frankly, I think they're more liberal where you're at right now than anywhere else in the Northwest. I'm talking from Alaska all the way down to the Oregon coast. Again, you can keep up to 4 salmon. Is that all species, or is that just Chinook and coho we're talking about?
No, you can take home 8 salmon. So 4 Chinook or 4 coho, or a mixture of that up to 4. So, for instance, you could take 4 Chinook, 2 coho, 2 pinks. But the main goal for us and our guides would be obviously the 4 kings and the 4 coho or silvers.
I can think of few other places. I can't think of no other places where you can come home after a couple of days with 8 salmon. So that's fantastic. But let's not forget the other species, the whitefish, as I like to call them, the halibut, the lingcod.
Yeah.
How has the fishing been for those?
It's been sporadic, John. Our halibut fishery this year is just average. It's getting better. I'm hoping that as we move through July, it starts to really impale. It's all sort of bait related, and the bait with this last set of tides, it just didn't push up onto the shallows enough. So I think that this next round of tides, and we'll start seeing the halibut fishing really start to pick up.
Generally speaking, if you're doing it well, you're going to be coming home with a halibut a day with a 2 halibut possession limit?
That's correct. And the upper limit size for the halibut is around 60 pounds, 126 centimeters. So it's a big fish.
That is a very big fish. And folks, I've seen some very big fish on the dock there at Port Hardy that charter anglers have pulled up fishing with Chad's fleet before. And let's not forget the lingcod. Let's not forget the rockfish. Both are plentiful. And those lings, they get up to a good size too.
Yeah, that's right. We fish for all species up here, John. So we have a very good lingcod fishery and a rockfish fishery. So, and you can take 3 rockfish a day and 6 home, and 2 lingcod a day and take 4 home with you, each person.
I'm going to break this down for you. If you want to come home with a bunch of fish from somewhere this summer, we're talking 8 salmon. We're talking 2 halibut. We're talking 6 rockfish. We're talking 4 lingcod. That is a whole lot of fish for the freezer. You are going to be the most popular person in your neighborhood, I guarantee you, if you head up to Port Hardy. And that's the next thing we need to talk about, because you usually don't have any openings this late in the game, but you've got a couple that have popped up. You've got one August 12th through the 15th. That's a 3-day, 4-night opportunity, 3 days of fishing, and you've got 2 boats available the same time I'm going to be there, August 22nd through the 25th. Tell our listeners about these packages, how much they cost, and what a trip looks like.
Yeah, well, we'll break it down right to the 3-person package, John. So 3 people, you can come fish for as low as $24.95 per person, Canadian funds. And right now, the exchange rate is about 30% off of that. So it's insanely cheap right now for our U.S. clients to come visit us.
Think about it, folks. Less than $1,800. You can head up there for an all-inclusive package. And let me explain what that means. You are going to be staying in a nice hotel right on the water, steps away from the marina, where you're going to board Chad's Grady White boats every morning. It's just going to be your party, 2 or 3 anglers on the boat. That's all that's going to be there. You're not going to be sharing the boat with others that you don't know. You're going to go out. You're going to have breakfast on board. You're going to have lunch on board. You're going to have a great day of fishing. You'll be back around 3 in the afternoon, get photos taken with your catch, and then you get a diner's card. And that card is good at any of 5 different restaurants in town. Whatever you want to eat, it's all yours. It all goes on Chad's bill. Alcohol's on you, but the food is completely on Chad. And best of all the fish processing is taken care of. Everything is packaged for you. It's vacuum packed, so it's ready for the freezer, and it's ready for customs too. It is the most hassle-free trip you're ever going to enjoy at Port Hardy, BC. Easy to drive to from just about anywhere in our listening area, and the price, as you heard, can't be beat. Let's share those dates one more time.
1 boat available August 12th to the 15th, John. And then we have 2 boats available from the 22nd to the 25th of August.
And we're going to throw in a little sweetener in the pot here. If you decide you want to book one of those August 22nd through the 25th dates, we're going to bring you some swag from Northwestern Outdoors Radio and America Outdoors Radio that we're going to give you when we get there. And it's going to be worth your while, I promise you. So, in addition to all the great fishing, in addition to the wonderful adventure you're going to have, we are going to throw in a little sweetener, some swag that's going to be worth anywhere from $50 to $100 from us at Northwestern Outdoors Radio, just as a way of saying, we're glad you're going fishing the same week we are. So let's give out the website so people can book this trip and do so really quick.
Yes, John, it's www.coastwidesports with an S on it, fishing.com. Coastwidesportsfishing.com. And we're in Port Hardy, British Columbia. The one thing that we should mention, John, is you can drive to us, and it's only anywhere between 10 and 12 hours, including the ferry ride to get from us in Washington. So it's a nice, easy drive.
So if you're in Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, might be a 2-day trip, but otherwise get there in a day from just about anywhere in Washington. The website again, coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com. There's openings, 3 days of fishing, 4 nights lodging, August 12th through the 15th, and 2 boats available, August 22nd through the 25th, with some special swag from us at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. If you book those, if you do so, contact us, let us know. We'll confirm it with Chad, and we will bring you a special gift I think you're going to like. Chad, thanks for sharing this with us today on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks again, John. It's always a pleasure.
Granite Lake, Cedar Lake, Pleasant Lake, Clear Lake, Bass Lake, Otter Lake, Goose Lake, Gull Lake, Round Lake, Pearl Lake, Rice Lake, Sugar Lake, Mud Lake, Long Lake, Ant Lake, Swan Lake, and Lake of the Woods. Oh, I fish everywhere.
Looking for a quality fishing adventure that won't break the bank? Then head to Canada for an all-inclusive fishing vacation with Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Big salmon, halibut, snapper, and lingcod are waiting for you off Vancouver Island. Book now at coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com.